everyone, back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. This is two. You're getting double, two for the price of one today. I'm back with another rant because something has caught my eye and it's really flicked my switch in terms of just the utter arrogance, ignorance, and just moronic nature of this piece that I've seen today. Media Muppets. We've done quite a few of these this year. It's been quite quiet recently, but my word, one of the biggest media Muppets of all has dragged me back behind the microphone to talk about just his utter shithousery in terms of his existence as a journalist, if you want to call him that. Although I'd call him plenty of other things, probably beginning with a C. I wouldn't say on YouTube or get kicked off. Who am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about the king of the nutsacks himself, Oliver Holt. So he's come out with a piece about Newcastle United, and even just looking at this tweet probably tells you enough about the nature of this piece. Anyone who's ever read Oliver Holt's besmirching penmanship about this football club over the last 18 months, shouldn't be surprised with the shit that he's writing. Newcastle sold their soul to the Saudis and are now stuck in ninth. Yeah, we're about 2 points off seventh, mate. Maybe learn how to count, look at the league table. There's a danger lurking for Eddie Howe, he says. And he goes on into the piece. He sets it off, just utter arrogance and just reeks of a bloke who, upper class, well-to-do, well-off kind of a bloke who is totally detached from reality, totally doesn't understand, the nature of Newcastle United fans. There's backhanded compliments to Newcastle fans in the piece. He tries to act like he understands how we all feel and everything. He's talking out of his ring piece. He really, really is. Then he probably watches the Nabi Day every day. That's the kind of crap that the guy's talking about. He starts off the piece by saying it's been 2 years since they asked Eddie Howe to comment on the evil regime that pay his wages. And he hasn't come forward, and he said, maybe we're hoping for a doctoral thesis for his PhD. I mean, who the fuck even writes articles like that, man? What a prick, honestly. They should just get this guy off the fucking mainstream journalist track and just put him on fucking University Challenge or something, because he sounds like one of them kind of dickheads. He really, really does. There's nothing wrong with being intelligent and articulate and using your rhetoric in a certain way, but don't use your rhetoric in a pompous, arrogant way like this. This guy's such a dick. He makes Joffrey from Game of Thrones seem like a nice bloke. He really is. So he goes on into the piece again and he starts talking about how, Precious Mountain under how we're languishing in ninth, right? Like I said, we're 2 points off seventh. We were sixth a week and a half ago or something like that. We played 10 games in whatever it is, 30 days or something mad like that, right? We're gassed out. Our squad is paper thin. We're full of injuries, right? January can't come soon enough for the football club. He keeps throwing out this line about the richest owners in the world don't want this. The richest owners in the world don't want that, right? Yes, we have the richest owners in the world, but they are hampered under the FFP restrictions that a lot of fans cynically or maybe accurately see as a way to protect the top four cartel, the kind of teams Oliver Holt blows up on a regular basis. I have despised this guy for years. When he used to be on Sunday Supplement, he was just the most arrogant, pompous prick back then at all. Sitting across the table with his fucking shirt undone, his chest wig out, sleeves rolled up, sweater over his shoulder. Even the journalists look they couldn't be asked to be around the guy, Henry Winter, and people like that, in the room just thinking this guy's a fucking dickhead. And that's exactly what he comes across as, an absolute arrogant prick and a hypocrite, which I'll come back to in a minute. So he talks about the piece again, the richest owners in the world, and then he does one sentence on Mike Ashley, right? Now, if you stop there for a second, Oliver Holt, right? Well, Mike Ashley was running us into the ground when he was taking the piss out of us, when he was mugging us off, when he was renaming the stadium. You sat there and you laughed your ass off and you lapped it up and you wrote scathing little articles about how we should be happy that Mike Ashley's there. We should be grateful Mike Ashley had stopped us from going bankrupt. You and Martin Sam and all these other wankers who did this as well. You weren't writing about how Mike Ashley was treating this football club just like a plaything, like a rich man's board plaything, almost like you won it in a bet or something like that. That's exactly what Mike Ashley done. And it's because Mike Ashley was so shit commercially for the 15 years that he was here that Newcastle cannot spend this massive amounts of money that they have. If you had any sense at all, you'd look into the matter and you would see it. Here's a novel idea. Why don't you go and have a chat with Kieran Maguire and he'll educate you on why we can't spend all that money, right? Because he knows his onions and you know fuck all, Oliver Holt. That's the reason we can't spend all of this money. That's the reason we're hampering the transfer market. If we weren't, if Mike Ashley had any kind of brains at all about how to run a football club, he would have done better commercial deals rather than sponsoring it for Sports Direct and using the club in the ground just to further his own nest for years and years and years, hiring fucking ex-bookies and accountants and casino managers and shit like that, rather than hiring sensible business people like Darren Eales and Peter Silverstone, who are at the football club now, who are making good commercial decisions to build the commercial revenue of the football club so we can spend more money. He doesn't even mention that. He doesn't mention anything about that with Mike Ashley. He just mentions one little sentence and he leaves it alone. This guy has used, in an article about Eddie Howe and Newcastle United, he's used the words bone saw and body bag. I mean, that is utter crass and just so offside. It's unbelievable. I'd love to see who this guy's editor is that he gets that past and put out into the mainstream media. I mean, Newcastle United would have every right to write to the Daily Mail and threaten him with legal action for slander for that. It's absolutely vile. I know he doesn't cover Newcastle United locally. Craig Hope does, and I like what Craig does. Craig seems like a really good journalist and a really good blog. But fuck me, I'd be tempted to ban the Daily Mail from even reporting on the club. And that's a shame for Craig Hope. But you reap what you sow. If you're going to publish this guy's piece, editor of the Daily Mail, and let that go out into the mainstream media, you should be held accountable for saying that kind of stuff about the football club. Now, putting that to one side, right? I've never shied away from this on this channel. I don't think any Newcastle United fan has. I know that our owners aren't going to win Humanitarian of the Year any year, right? There's atrocities going on in Saudi Arabia. There really is, right? But if you're going to write about a football club and a manager's current status, in his position, right? You stick to the core material and that. You stick to the matter. You don't let it blend in between your political agenda, which Oliver Holt clearly has. I mean, his agenda is so out there, you could see it from fucking sea. You really could. It's like a lighthouse beacon. That's how loud his agenda is against Newcastle United and the Saudi regime. But going back to my point about him being a hypocrite, it only seems to be when it's Newcastle United. If Manchester United had been bought by the Saudis, I'm pretty sure when the Saudis were linked to Manchester United, this guy said fucking nothing about this. He didn't come out on his high horse, his white steed of righteousness and truth, riding over the top of the hill, swinging his sword of virtue, never did any of that at all. But when they bought Newcastle United, he was all over it like a rash. However, when it comes to boxing, this guy waxes lyrically about the hospitality that he enjoyed going over to Anthony Joshua fight over in Riyadh. It even says he didn't blame Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua for taking the money that was on offer. So it's okay for boxing, Oliver Holt, but when it comes to football, when it comes to Newcastle United, it's the biggest sin and the most evil, rancid thing in the world, is it? This guy is an absolute wanker. He really, really is. And I'm astounded. I know journalists, a lot of journalists, to be fair, I'm sure a lot of them are quite decent guys, but a lot of them are utter shitholes with no souls. He's talking about us selling our soul. This guy ain't got a fucking soul the way he's writing. He really hasn't. He's throwing in hand grenades, about Khashoggi and everything else as well, just to stir up extreme views on it, to try and get people to jump on the bandwagon and talk about it. I mean, most football fans would read that and go, talk about that. So we talk about the football, Most Newcastle fans, he goes and gives us a couple of backhanded compliments. He talks about how we've signed well and all this, but then he starts to turn the blade very slowly about how the Saudi owners are going to be looking at Eddie Howe's position. Will they bring in someone like Jose Mourinho? This and that. It's just a completely bullshit, bogus piece from a guy who's so disconnected with this football club. I don't even know why he's writing about this football club. If Craig Hope is the Northeast correspondent for the Daily Mail, let him write about Newcastle United. Why on earth is this wanker taking it upon himself to write a besmirching piece about the football club, and the Daily Mail is posting probably for clicks and probably for likes and probably for interactions like I'm giving them right now? But it really pissed me off reading this piece. It really did. Like I say, the whole Saudi Arabian situation to one side. I'm not in a position to talk about it. I'm not in any position of influence to change it. I'm not in any position of influence to really talk about it with any real education, right? I know things aren't great there. We've had Saudi Arabian viewers on the channels and comments and I've said the total opposite, right? So I'm not from there. I don't know anybody from there. So I'm not in a position to really comment on it, right? But Newcastle United fans have had Mike Ashley for 15 years, been relegated twice, been through the doldrums, watch the team just being decimated, quality players being sold, nobody getting signed, stadium falling apart, mockery, people taking the piss out of us, like Holt and Samuel, and all these other wankers on YouTube are like laughing about us over the years and stuff like that as well. And now we've got a bit of investment and a bit of chance to hope and dream again. The guys like him are just trying to pull us down because they just want the standard top four cartel of Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, And then outside of that, Spurs and Chelsea. They don't want anybody else to be able to compete. This wanker probably would have been the first one to lick his chops about the Super League, you know. And if he says otherwise, it's only because he doesn't want to get bitten off by the Mail, probably, or get attacked by football fans. But it's a rancid piece. It really, really is. I wouldn't even tell you to read it, but that's just my thoughts about it. I'm sick of reading this guy's stuff. I really am. I really hope the football club do something about it and contact the Daily Mail and tell them that this is borderline slanderous and they need to either take it down or re-edit it as well. But that's my thoughts about this prick and his arrogant bullshit that he's writing about this football club. I don't follow him on Twitter anymore. He's a fucking wanker. Gets on my tits. But let us know what you guys think in the comments below. We always like to hear from you. We always like to engage with you. As I mentioned at the start, well, I haven't mentioned at the start yet. Sorry, I'm mentioning right now. If you like this kind of a thing, smash subscribe, come and join us, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos, like the rants that you've just listened to. Now, we'll be back on a match preview for the Liverpool game, the league leaders, as Oliver Holt calls it. We know that's going to be a tough game. We don't need you to tell us that, you arrogant prick. But we'll be back with a preview and a post-match for the Liverpool game in the new year. Have a cracking day wherever you are, everyone. We'll catch you later. Cheers, bye.